Welcome to the Everyday Senior News. Informed, trusted advocates with information for our aging population all over the nation for us right now. I'm your host, Felicia Saracino, and today I have Patty Rocco. She is your senior home care liaison here. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me here today.
So I'm really excited to have Patty here today, and the whole purpose of us having this platform to deliver news is that the baby boomers are one of our largest segments right now here, all over the nation. And every day, about 10,000 baby boomers turn of age every day. And the last set of baby boomers that will be of age, and that is age of retirement age, is going to be 2030. So from now until then, they do host the largest wealth segment in the US right now. And we're providing some much needed news and resources for families and loved ones, and also for the senior themselves that is aging, just to make sure they get all of the trusted advisory news out there for them in record time right now. It's a little bit about the key and how the key is different in what services you offer, because you have pretty much of a nationwide reach.
We do have a nationwide reach. It's phenomenal to have the support and tasks and all the different tools that the key provides nationwide to all of our clients. It starts with a vision and also a mission. And just like you said, we want people to age at home. And, this year alone, today, 10,000 Americans are turning 65. So just as you mentioned, we have those people and recognize that. And we recognize that approximately 70% of them are going to need some type of in-home care or assistance when they turn 65 or as they increase in age. So we're committed to providing that exceptional care, to the support and the services that empower older adults to maintain their independence for as long as possible. We want to maintain their dignity and also their quality of life, more importantly. So, and together redefining what aging is very important. And I think we're getting back to it being a family as far as taking care of people and making sure that everybody is looked out for, not just the person that has some comorbidities.
Absolutely. And I think all of us know who worked as professionals in healthcare that a lot of times the statistics are out there that 67% of the caregiver actually passes away before the loved one that they're
Correct.
caring for, because they're not caring for themselves.
Correct.
And providing that. And that's something that's really powerful. So as we kind of go through, we're going to ask a little bit more about the key and what type of training that you provide your caregivers to meet all of their on-demand needs and their growing needs right now.
So a couple of the things that the key offers that stands us apart from the rest of the group. We stand by what's called the balanced care method. And it's a 6-pillared approach drawn on scientific studies for the healthiest, longest living populations across the globe. So the balanced care method is an approach to care that goes beyond task-based care. Okay, so here's our 6 pillars. 6 pillars are cognitive stimulation. So we're going to talk about engaging their mind, whether it's playing games, puzzles, listening to music, playing a game, reminiscing about things, looking at pictures and talking about different things. They're actively engaging their cognitive skills and stimulating that brain. The next is nutrition. We want to make sure there's the right nutrients going into their bodies. We want to make sure that if they have a diet that can't have salt, say, or certain items, we want to make sure that the care plan that we put out in front of them, make sure that the caregiver knows these things and can help create healthy, well-balanced meals catered around what their needs are. The third pillar is physical activity. So some seniors are more active than others. Some still play golf, tennis, pickleball. Those are three heavily involved activities here in our market. But around the country, walking, just taking a nice walk. People can continue to do that. And in a lot of the assisted living communities where we have clients, they have physical activity for them. They have exercise classes.
Absolutely.
Whether they're seated classes, whether they're pool aerobics, different activities for them to stay active. And as a caregiver and caregiving company, we encourage people to continue to do those activities, and we encourage our caregivers to bring them, the clients, to those activities to make sure that we maintain that for them. One of the other things is a sense of calm. There's a lot of anxiety in our country. A lot of people get very anxious over things, and we try and help maintain that sense of calm for them. Anxiety doesn't do anybody any good.
No, not at all.
Worrying over little things that we can help them with. So we want to maintain that sense of calm. Social engagement is number 5. So when you think of social engagement, whether it's bringing them to lunch with another friend, maybe getting them involved in activities that are in their community or outside of their community. Go to the library. Maybe there's a reading hour or something they can get involved in. You know, any of those, we want to make sure that they're involved in. We want to get them active as possible, you know, just to maintain where they are and they don't decline.
Absolutely. Engagement is something that we found for those that worked in senior living and in this industry. During COVID, there was such a lack of engagement. So there was a sharp decline that we saw with Alzheimer's and dementia, and folks needing that engagement, because we're creatures of making so humans like that touch, that engagement.
Correct.
And when you're lacking it, you saw a really sharp decline.
You did.
In seniors from after COVID.
Yeah.
It was very sad.
Our last pillar that we discuss is sleep. I mean, we all probably, no matter how old you are, I hear of people talking about how much their sleep is suffering.
Yeah.
And a lot more, and people say it's because of, you know, digital or technology, you know, being on our phones, being on an iPad, laptop, any of those things. You know, it's that blue light keep your brain active.
Yeah.
Even having the television on. Some people need the white noise, like myself.
Yeah.
I use the television as white noise.
I do too, and it's so bad. I do know you're supposed to sleep in a really cool, dark, calm room with no light, and I fall asleep to the television every night.
Yeah, me too.
It's my vice.
Yeah, and I even on vacation.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. How funny.
I can't do it. I need that white noise, and the white noise machines aren't for me, but I understand that they do help other people.
They do. I know a lot of people that they help. They do not work for me.
No.
And now there's blue noise, brown noise, pink noise, green noise. And I just saw a documentary on that, and it was really, really interesting to learn a little bit more about that. But I said, no, I will take my television any day. So I understand that. That's too funny. But bringing it back to, these are amazing pillars that you are able to offer. Can you talk a little bit about, you said caregivers can go into assisted living. Tell everyone a little bit about why that might be needed.
So a lot of our seniors are fall risks. So while they're in assisted living, yes, they're getting some assistance, but it is not one-on-one care all the time.
That's right.
So with the key, you have a concierge right there with you if you have somebody with you in the senior living community. And especially if there is mobility issues. Sometimes people forget when they get up to take their walker with them. And they need that constant reminder. Like if they're standing up, grab your walker. Don't forget your walker. Get your walker. And sometimes you need to place it in front of them.
Yes.
So being in an assisted living doesn't mean that 24-hour care is always going to be there for you, you know, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because there's several other people in the same situation that require assistance as well. And having been on the other side of the senior living side of it, tell me a little bit about what that looks like as far as staffing goes.
That's so funny. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I believe the staffing ratios that we had were a little over 10 to 1 in assisted living. So it was 10 people to one caregiver. And then when you went down to memory care, I was fortunate enough to work with a company that provided well below the state standards of a 5-to-1 ratio.
Oh, that's great.
Which is wonderful, because the standard for the state, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I have to double check this, is memory care is an 8-to-1 and assisted living is a 15-to-1.
Oh.
And that is 15 residents to one caregiver or one provider.
That's huge.
Which is huge. And so when you drop that down to 10, and I was fortunate enough to work for assisted living providers and corporations that were allowed you to provide staffing levels based off of your level of care.
Right.
So when someone moves into assisted living, just like as you go into the hospital, they do an assessment of you to see how much help you need one-on-one for transfers. And transfers mean, are you wheelchair bound? Are you not wheelchair bound? If you are wheelchair bound, you need help from a chair to the wheelchair transfer. And so the higher your level of care was, the more care is needed. So they let us layer on additional employees to help with that. Not every place does that.
No.
So that's one of the big key things with looking at assisted living, is finding out what the ratios are. Now, especially if someone came from home and had private duty, private home care companion duty is what we're talking about here. And that's a caregiver that's helping you one-on-one. We always set them up for success and brought that caregiver with them.
Correct. And that's super important, because especially moving from home, maybe even to a memory care, where it's even more important because it's a new environment for somebody that already has a altered mental status. So now you've just changed their entire environment. The confusion is going to set in. So it's super important, and I tell families this all the time. Let's go in for the transition, even if you feel that we don't need to be there after. At least for the transition piece of it, we're there with them.
Yeah.
And then you guys come in. And it's very, very important to let the families know we're not trying to take your place, but sometimes it's easier to let somebody that's not family handle that transition, especially to a memory care, because it's going to be challenging.
Absolutely.
And we even tell people when they, God forbid, have to go to the hospital, and we've helped them, let us go and be there at night.
Yeah. Especially
at night, because people are confused, regardless of how good their mental status was prior to. Being hospitalized is traumatic.
It is.
And no matter what the trauma was that brought you there, you could wake up and not know where you are.
Absolutely.
And having somebody you already know be there with you is great, because not all the time can family be there with you 24/7.
No, and and the thing about being in the hospital or moving to assisted living is there's different smells. There is different noises at night that you're not used to. And it's as if, think about when you go to a hotel.
Right.
And say you went, we live here in sunny, gorgeous Naples.
Right.
But we all decided to take a vacation to New York City, where there's sirens that go by every hour, sometimes every 15 minutes. And that just radiates off of those buildings and goes right up into your hotel room.
Right.
You're going to have a very unrestful sleep. Now imagine if you had some cognitive impairment with Alzheimer's or dementia, and your brain is a little foggy. That's going to be exasperated.
Right.
No, that's going to be exasperated, because at the end of the night, you're all by yourself. You don't know where you are. You have all these buttons and machines around you that are making noise.
Right.
So to have someone that you're already familiar with that can provide you that peace of mind it's really invaluable.
Goes right back to the balanced care method with the sense of calm.
Absolutely.
So we bring it right back to what we were just talking about with that balanced care method. And one of the pillars is we want to make sure that the client maintains that sense of calm. Anxiety is huge for somebody going into an assisted living, memory care, and the hospital.
Yeah, and I've seen it happen time and time again. When you have someone who comes into your home, how long does it take for a caregiver to kind of get in sync with that person who they're caring for?
Sometimes it can happen right away, and sometimes it takes a little bit. One of the things that we do is, our approach to the client is that we're going to create that care plan. Besides myself that the client will meet, we also have our client success manager, who's one of our RNs, and they create the care plan. They go in, make sure it's a safe environment, make sure that there's no tripping hazards, things like that. We check all the environment out, but then we get to know the client, and we do the best we can with a caregiver match.
Yeah.
So we ask all kinds of personal questions about our client. Sometimes they can't answer themselves, but a family member does.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask them, what did you do in your life? What were your hobbies? How many children do you have? Grandchildren do you have? What are their names? What did did you like to travel?
Yeah.
All different things that was their life.
Absolutely.
And what brought them to Naples?
Mm-hmm.
What brought them down here? How long did they live here? Where were they from? Things that you want to kind of get to know who that person is.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a number for us. They're actually part of our family. So it's an extended part of our family. The Key has lots of family all over the country now.
I love that. I love that part of our family. That's so welcoming, and that's wonderful, because you are an intimate part of someone's life, and you're helping them in a really traumatic time that they're giving up a lot of their independence, just probably because of maybe a cognitive decline or some type of a comorbidity that's in it making them need that additional help.
Correct.
And so you're there one-on-one with them in a really private time, and you see a lot with the families. You see a lot of the family dynamics.
And we do. And family dynamics are huge.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the families aren't local. So a couple of the things that the Key has in place is we have an app.
Oh, you do?
We do.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Tell me about this app.
So the caregiver actually goes into the app and fills in when their time, but all their tasks are also in there.
Oh.
And the family member can see the task and see the care notes. So the caregiver can let them know that Mrs. Jones, she, was a little stubborn today. She didn't want to do the X, Y, and Z, but we did do A, B, and C.
Oh, that's great.
And also, if there's a little bit of a change in status,
Mm-hmm.
the caregiver notifies the client success manager. The client success manager will go out and make a visit to that client to check on that status change that the caregiver was reporting about.
Yeah.
So that if we need to adjust our care plan, we adjust it. So everything is done based on how that client's doing.
Yeah.
And we do periodic checks with them, some more than others.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the amount of care that people have, and if there is a change. If there isn't a change, we just check in with people and call them, make an appointment, check in and see how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people don't have care every day. Some have it a couple times a week.
Yeah.
And that's what's really important for people to also understand, that this isn't something that has to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for everyone. There are some people that require that. It can tailor around the needs.
So it's concierge type, few hours a day to a couple of times a week to 24-hour care.
Correct.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That is really wonderful. And I believe that the Key is nationwide.
We are nationwide. We were a company called Home Care Assistance.
Mm-hmm.
We rebranded to the Key when we acquired several companies across the nation to expand our reach.
Wow.
And by expanding our reach, we were given tools that we didn't know existed to be able to help our seniors and help our clients all over. So we can go into communities with a bunch of different programs and really offer some great insight and different tools that they themselves can do without our help.
Oh, wow.
And then when they need us, they know who to reach out to.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love that. So tell us a little bit about how you stay up to date with some trends and advancement in care that is happening right now in our in our environment with working with folks who are aging.
So a couple of things that we have, our first one and the biggest one, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier briefly, was our scientific advisory board, made up of 9 advisors who are experts in dementia and aging. And they meet with our own Dr. Shadi. I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce her last name, but we call her Dr. Shadi. And she's a licensed clinical psychologist. She's also our in-house director of memory care.
Oh, wow.
So it makes us stand out a little bit further. She has research, clinical interests in aging and aging in place.
Mm-hmm.
So she has research and clinical interest in aging in place, coping with and adapting to chronic illnesses,
Mm-hmm.
and also cognitive decline, health intervention development with a focus on behavior change, which is huge.
Huge.
So, and also within that, you've got the caregiver burnout and stress.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the things that they talk about and that they look upon, because they meet twice a year.
Wow.
She meets twice a year with this group of advisors,
Mm-hmm.
and they go over trends, what they're seeing in the aging world, and how can we work with it? What can we do next?
Yeah.
What can we do to get ahead of it?
Yeah.
And this is how some of our programming has come to fruition.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
And this is another one of the great aspects of working with the key, because you get this knowledge behind you. And not only do we have it in the field and we get to know it and we get to share it, but our caregivers do too, because they go through dementia training.
Yeah,
They have to go through the dementia training in order to work with our clients.
that's important.
It is. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And not everyone has dementia,
Mm-hmm.
but as we age, we start to see dips here and there
Yeah.
in what our memories are like. And some people have great long-term memories.
Mm-hmm.
It's their short-term that's going away.
I hear it every day.
You know, some people develop frontal lobe dementias,
Yes.
vascular dementias. So it hits people differently. People that have Parkinson's,
Mm-hmm.
they may develop not only physical issues, but cognitive as well.
Yes.
So there's just a lot that goes into it, and we understand and learn a lot. And we have these tools to help us every day with our clients.
And that's so important because for those of you who might be listening for the first time, there are over 150 different types of dementias. Alzheimer's is under the umbrella of dementia, along with Lewy bodies, Parkinson's. You know, there's a lot of different type of dementias. But I think now what I've been seeing, and tell me what you think, is I see a lot more MS
Yes.
starting to present
Yes.
and ALS.
Yes.
And so from time to time, we're starting to see a lot more autoimmune, kind of different types of illnesses creeping up in our aging population right now. And so it's really important that you have the scientific
Right.
advisory board that's getting ahead of this, because we're starting to see this within our marketplace down here.
Yes.
Because as many of you know, Southwest Florida, a lot of people want to move to. They want to snowbird down here. And I could tell you from my own personal experiences, we're number 2 in the nation for Parkinson's right now.
Right.
Number 1 is more or less around the Midwest. And so we're starting to see a lot more things pop up, which brings on more demand for training for all of your caregivers and your staff.
It truly does. But it's great that we have the tools in place
Yeah.
to move forward and to help those clients out. You know, not everybody can say that they have these at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
We're very fortunate, and I'm very fortunate to work for a company that really wants to set the standard in what home care is. You know,
I love that.
by bringing everyone that works for the company the understanding and the knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, and by having that knowledge, it's powerful. And you can bring that, we bring it to the doctors, we bring it to the senior living communities, we bring it to groups such as the Alzheimer's Support Network here in town, and the Parkinson's Association. We let them know, listen, we have the support and tools to help your clients.
So this is invaluable information. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. So tell families, what advice can you give them if they're looking into exploring this option for home care?
One of the things they need to do is have a family meeting. You need to start with the family meeting and talk about your concerns with your parents or loved ones, and let them know, like, hey, I'm concerned, I'm seeing this. Be open about those concerns and those worries that you have, because they may not recognize that within themselves, that that's something going on. Consider a home care agency to age in place.
Yeah.
Instead of saying we have to move you right away,
Mm-hmm.
consider, talk to them about, okay, so if we can keep you here,
Yeah.
this is what it's going to have to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they do go to an assisted living, depending on what the issue at hand is, they may still need some assistance.
Yeah.
But have the conversation first.
Mhm.
Super important to understand where they're coming from, their concerns, as well as hearing your concerns as a family member.
Absolutely.
Really, and deciding the next step together
Mhm.
is really important. Nobody wants to take that autonomy away from somebody. We're not trying to take their independence away. You as a family member are not trying to take your parents or loved ones' independence away. It's a family decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, the parent or loved one doesn't always make the best decisions,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to allow to listen and hear what their concerns are, and really try and see if we can work within the parameters. And that's why choosing the right home care agency is super important, because those are some of the things that we take into consideration. We understand that there's going to be challenges, within getting home care for a loved one. they could be very resistant,
Yeah, absolutely.
hesitant to have somebody in their home.
Mhm.
These are always huge concerns.
It's very personal.
It is.
It's
It
very
is.
personal,
You know,
yeah.
a lot of people, especially we're getting into the next generation of people, but
Mhm.
the greatest generation, they were very, very modest people.
Yes.
And very, very, very cautious
Mhm.
with how they spent their money.
Yeah.
Whereas their kids are like, listen, you have it, spend it.
Correct.
And yes, it is a big undertaking sometimes for home care, depending on how much is needed. I mean, but that's something that is individual, and that's
Yes.
something that, not to discuss here, but that's something to discuss individually with the people as you need it.
Absolutely.
We're here to do those things. And going through and discussing exactly what a caregiver does,
Mm-hmm.
you know, while they're there, and that's where creating that care plan that is tailored to the needs and wants of that individual person is huge. And we take family into consideration too for that. You know, the family members like to do X, Y, and Z with them. So no, we'll stay away from that piece of it. You know, we don't need to be that person to do everything.
Yes.
So
It's no different than when you have to go to an orthopedic and you're going to see an orthopedic that
Right.
one of them might be really good at hips, another one knees and shoulders. So you want to make sure that when you're exploring these options
Right.
in your home, it is no different. It's really no different in any profession. I mean, even take a look at, for me, I am a real estate professional. I specialize in seniors because this is my background.
Right.
Not everybody has that background. If you asked me to go and help you with a boat slip, I would be like a duck out of water. I don't know. That I would have to call in a specialist. The same thing for golf courses. You know,
Right.
that there are certain people who align themselves with their passions. And so you have to make sure that it's no different when it comes time to your health care. So
I was going to say,
go ahead.
one of the last things to do
Mhm.
is make sure that you find a vetted and well-respected home care agency, like the Kate.
Yeah. And you can find this information out. You can check out their reviews.
Right.
You can ask doctors in your area who they prefer. And then also, you know, ask your friends and family who are going
Right.
through this, because once you get excellent, exceptional care, the
Yes.
word and the news travels.
It does.
And
It
that's
does.
what's important.
It really does. And, you know, I have a passion for my seniors.
Mhm.
I love working with them. I love hearing about what they've done, where they've been, and just finding something to connect with them about.
Yes.
Whether it's where they've lived, where they've traveled, things that they've done, things that they like, sports teams that they enjoy. You know, just getting to know that person and hearing that, and then they relax a little bit also.
Absolutely.
And I just really think that something that I bring to the table personally
Mhm.
is really getting to understand our client. They're not a number to me.
No, and I could tell that you're so passionate about that. I love that about you,
Yeah,
Patty. That's
thank you.
wonderful.
And I really enjoy partnering up to bring out the best in all of us so that they have the best experience possible.
Absolutely.
You know, whether it's bringing in resources from the outside, like, okay, hey, I have this private, you know, physical therapist or personal trainer that, you know, if you don't mind paying for it, they can come to your home.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking to downsize, let's call the specialist in that. Let's call Felicia.
That's right,
You know,
yes.
and even if when the time comes and it's necessary to loop hospice in.
Yes.
And there's times that hospice isn't necessarily the end of life.
No.
There's
no.
a lot of times to get hospice involved early,
Yes.
and they can be great partners.
Absolutely, and there's seen many folks graduate from hospice because
Correct.
they needed to just get some pain management under control.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation
Right,
for us
right.
to have, because there's so much to unpack with that one. But I am so happy that you picked up the passion to want to
Yes.
serve seniors. That's so important.
It is.
So if someone wants to get in touch with you, Patty, what's the best way for them to do that?
So you can contact me either via my office number, which is 239-494-1039. We also have an 800 number that you can reach us at,
Oh.
which is 1-866-454-8346. And if you wanted to email me, feel free. My email is patti.raco@thekey.com. That's patty.rocco@thekey.com. I wanted to spell it out. I'm an I, not a Y.
That is important. And we'll make sure to have all the information in our captions as well. So thank you so much again, Patty, for being here, making sure that all of us are getting the correct information, the most innovative information on our aging population is something that we're really committed to.
Yes.
So thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for future episodes. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.